Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm the Angel PT, and for today what we have in here, it is the most requested game probably of the month. It is Outwards, developed by the 9 Dot Studio. I believe this is their first game and they are using their in-house engine to power up their game. So yeah, it is not the typical Unreal or Unity engine based game. So what we have in here, it is a very different game, it's only for hardcore players, but let's start with the settings like usual. So I'm running the game with the native resolution of the laptop, 1366 by 768, and I'm using the low settings, but what I have done, it was to reduce the resolution scaling. So what happens is the game either is not getting fully rendered at the native resolution of the screen, but yet being rendered at a lower resolution in order to have a good performance. So the minimum requirements of the game are quite small. It asks for an i5 750, a very old CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, and the Nvidia GT 450, which is still more powerful than this graphic card, but still. So I've tried 3 settings. With the low settings I wasn't able to get above 30 frames per second. With a mix between very low and low, which is the settings that I'm using in here, which in fact it is low settings with changed resolution scaling, what I got was an experience between 25 to 30 frames per second, and with the very low settings, which looks awful in my opinion, what I got was an experience mostly above 30 frames per second. So that's why I've decided to go with the low settings, reduce the resolution scaling, and yet, despite it drops from 30 frames per second, I do prefer that than having awful graphics in this game. And also, the benchmark were performed inside this first village, so as soon as you get out of the village to the wilds, to the outsides of the, of this village, the game gets less demanding, especially in dungeons or caves. The game gets very lightweight. So I don't expect you to have problems running the game, where the game only fares worse inside the cities where no action it is to be found. So there we go. So for this benchmark, what I will be doing, it is get out of the city and go to a cave that I have never entered before. So this was my first time in combat. The combat, it is nothing special. Unfortunately, this game resembles a lot to me of Gothic series or Reason or the latest UX, so it seems like a Piranha Bytes game, but it adds a lot of simulation. Like for example, you have dynamic weather system which affects your character starts to be cold or hot, so there is a survival system in this game. You need to eat, you need to drink water, you can't drink any water, you need to drink clean water. The environment changed drastically, it can start to snow, it can start to be very hot, so there is a lot of systems in place in here simulating the world, which is very interesting and makes the gameplay very different every time you play. The game doesn't help the player at anything, so basically you have a map, you need to to guide yourself through the compass, so you never know where you are. So the game barely helps the player in anything. So it seems like a Dark Souls mixed up with Gothic. So more Gothic than Dark Souls, to be honest. And so you have then a survival system, like for example like those survival games that have been coming out on Steam. So it's rather interesting game and seems very defying. Also, there is another thing. The game features auto-saving, so if you do shit in any place, you can't go back. So if you took some decisions, you can't go back and change what you have made. So yeah, very defying. So what is interesting about this game is that you can get this game from Steam for around 40 bucks. Players are more or less satisfied with the game. They are giving a score between 70 to 80%. I mean, the average score is around 70 to 80%, and the game only costs 40 bucks. But if you want to get it cheaper, you can get through Kinguin for about